So the primary focus will begin on AMSSA's SettlementNet, which is a database for settlement service providers across British Columbia. But we're also going to be looking at some of the other resources that AMSSA offers, such as our info sheets, our e-Symposia, our webcasts, our webinars, a number of other things that we have to share. So just before we plunge into it, just a couple of housekeeping items. I'm joined here today actually by Bahar. Bahar is on the chat. Thank you, Bahar, for entertaining our audience while I was having some technical difficulties. If you do have any audio problems, if you hear echo or if the audio mutes for any reason, I suggest that you close the window and reopen it just by clicking on the link that I sent to you. If you have questions, please do ask them in the chat box. I think many of you have already learned that one. I'm going to be going through about 6 slides before we actually start doing a live screen share. So the PowerPoint presentation will still be in the top left corner, but it might be a little small. That's okay though, because I think most of the content that is actually on the PowerPoint you'll be seeing it live. So there's that going for you. Just a reminder that this webinar is actually being recorded. So if there's anything that you learn on here that you'd like to share with staff, we'll be able to send that link to you later on. So getting into it. I have a tendency to go a little bit quickly through some of this content, so if I am going too fast, please let me know and I'll be happy to slow down or repeat something. But I'll do my best to keep it steady. So the agenda. First I'm going to talk a little bit about who is AMSSA and what we do, go over some SettlementNet basics, keeping up to date with our weekly updates, navigating SettlementNet, and of course finding some other AMSSA resources as I previously mentioned. So who is AMSSA? We are a provincial umbrella association of immigrant serving and multicultural agencies. We support over 100 CIC-funded settlement service providers, and we really focus on research, communications, and events. I'm sure a number of you are familiar with some of the resources that we do provide. We have a small staff. There are about 5 staff members working on the settlement side of our nonprofit. And we were formed in 1977, so we have a long history of supporting the BC settlement sector. We really try our best to support you in wherever you need support. So if you feel that there's something that you are missing, either a resource or a piece of information or a professional development opportunity, let us know, and then we can try to create something that might cater to your needs or desires. So moving right along, some of the basics. So what is SettlementNet? SettlementNet is a password-protected website really targeted for the niche of settlement service providers in BC. It's updated constantly with new resources for staff, and it's got media articles and a number of events on there. And as mentioned, because it is password-protected, it really has a unique amount of information that's on there that you might not necessarily be able to find in some other places. So we post a number of things in here, including new research and information on immigration trends. There are a number of ways to find this research, which I'll be going through in just a little while. So the basics, the username and password is case sensitive. If you don't have a username or password, just send me a brief email, and then I'll be happy to set that for you. The same organization all has the same login information. So if you work at a large organization, you and your coworkers will all use the same username and the same password. It's not for an individual. So the easiest way to access it is just by going to www.amssa.org/settlementnet or by clicking on any of the links in our weekly update, which goes out every Tuesday morning. What are some of the benefits? Staying up to date with announcements and news from the sector, resources, and information on events and training opportunities. So, moving right along. What is on SettlementNet? Media articles, professional development, events, SPO information, CIC updates, and again, more resources for frontline and management. So, this is it for the PowerPoint presentation. Now we're going to do something a little bit more fun, which is doing a live screen share. So you might see the screen flicker just a little bit. That's because I'm just about to start sharing my screen. So you should now see a SettlementNet weekly update. So I mentioned the weekly updates a little bit before. This is the thing that we send out every Tuesday morning. We have sort of refined this over the last couple of years because we know that staff are so busy. So at the top, we call it the little blurb. That's really, if you have no time to read the entire update of usually around 10 to 12 resources every week, this might be the thing that you might just want to spend a little time on. These are the top picks. So the top 3 news or resources items from that last week, this is where you'll find those. And then, of course, you can scroll down for the rest of the resources in there. Now, as mentioned, you can click on any of these links, and they'll bring you right to the SettlementNet database. To sign up for this update, I'm just going to go over to my other window. So you should now see Google. And as mentioned, today is the International Day of Happiness, which I thought was quite fun. That link is purple because I clicked on it because it is actually a very fun link. If anyone has time later on, I suggest you go and visit it yourself as well. So going back to the business at hand. So accessing settlement, www.amssa.org/settlementnet. Username and password. There we go, and we're in. So in order to sign up for it, it's actually quite easy. The easiest way, honestly, is sending me an email and asking for it. Or if you just like to do it yourself, just once you're signed in, you can just click on this little button down here, sign up for the weekly email updates. Your profile, if you click on this link on the left column here, you can actually see some of the information that we have about your profile. So you can view your locations, you can view your staff positions, and that will actually let you see who is currently receiving SettlementNet updates. So you can see our staff here. Now this information is not necessarily public. You actually have the option to share this information or not to share this information. So as you go through and edit the profile of people, or if you ask me to do that, I'll be happy to do that for you. You actually have 2 options. One, you can allow staff from other service provider organizations to see your contact information, or you can sign up to either receive the update or not to receive the update. But again, just send me your wishes and I'll be happy to do that for you as well. All of this information is actually contained in our service provider directory. So if you go sort of back to your home, you can navigate on the left column here. The service provider directory has a list of all settlement providers in British Columbia. You can sort by region by clicking up there, or alphabetically. Again, you can go into your profile and view some of the information you have here. You can, of course, only edit your own profile. You can't edit anybody else's. Going back to home. So getting into it a little bit, let's go into how you can find some resources. Again, if there's something that you'd like me to slow down on, let me know. But I figure that some of this information might already be, you might already know some of it. So one of the best ways to find resources on SettlementNet actually is to do a keyword search. It's not Google, but it is actually a pretty good search engine. So one thing, if you're looking for resources in your community, maybe just do a search for that. So let's check out resources in Surrey. Click search. And on the top here, you can see that divided into a number of different categories. Client resources, resources for service providers. So resource for service provider is really something for you, something for settlement staff and managers. The directory, of course, is related to organizations and media. So these would be media articles, something in the news that is relevant for Surrey residents. Another way to navigate, so let's just go back home. Another way to navigate the SettlementNet is to, if you click actually on what you're looking for, so resources for service providers, every post in SettlementNet actually has a number of tags with it. So if you're looking for, you don't have to do a keyword search. You can also do, say, a search for government communications or something along those lines. So if you want a publication or a communication, click on there. And then we have a number of different tags here. So government communications, transition updates, AMSSA publications and announcements, et cetera, et cetera. As well, if you click on this search button, you'll notice that that search button is a little bit different than the keyword search. So I'll just do that one more time. down here, not sure what you're looking for, search or browse. So search lets you click on the different tags you're looking for, and some of those might have a drop-down or a sub-tag. Or, this is one that I like to do, if you just want to see what has been posted recently, you can actually click on the browse feature. And these are all posted chronologically. So this is all of the more recent staff resources, settlement provider resources. One more thing that I'd like to point out, again, I'll start from the beginning, going back to SettlementNet Home. Again, these are, most of what I've shown you have been resources for service providers, but you're welcome to explore some of these other categories as well. So in resources for service providers, you'll notice that there's a message board here. Now, a message board is something that, to be honest, hasn't really been used very much, but it is something that I think people should at least know about. It's possible we may be upgrading sort of the functionality of this in the next little while. But right now, we have message boards for our 7 BC services working groups. So if you're not familiar, AMSSA coordinates a number of specialized working groups that have different focus areas, and these are them. So the early years, this is settlement information orientation, basically general programming information, vulnerable populations, youth, employment, smaller centers and rural services, and local immigration partnerships. So under each of these, if you want to learn about what settlement staff in BC have been talking about regarding vulnerable populations, at least from this working group, then you can go in here and we have a number of general documents and vulnerable population specific documents. Some key recommendations that went for another committee of ours, the Settlement Program Planning Committee, SPPC. And now you notice that this is a message board, which means that you're actually able to reply. You yourself, if you have something that you'd like to post or you have a comment, then you can actually click on the reply button. I won't go into the details of how to navigate that, but there's a little video here that if you click play, it's about a minute long and it shows you how to format and everything like that. So moving along, so let's go back home. Media, I think this is something that's fairly popular on SettlementNet. Truth be told, I think most people get the most benefit out of SettlementNet from not necessarily navigating it, but from the weekly updates and just to kind of keep up to date with what's going on. If you just spend 2 or 3 minutes reading those top 3 picks every Tuesday morning, then I think you'll actually get quite a bit of benefit from it. I'm going through the depths of SettlementNet right now, just so you know you're sort of more of an expert on it, but you don't necessarily have to do this. So you'll see here that we post a number of media articles, probably about maybe 6 a week on average, and these are usually from large publications. So Winnipeg Free Press, the Vancouver Sun, Province, Globe and Mail, Toronto Star, Montreal Gazette, etc. And so generally the news that we have here is, I think, quite a good filter of the news. As we all know, programs are changing constantly. Immigration and temporary residents, they're in the news quite often. So we sort of hand-pick these articles, and I think you'll find that they're generally quite good in quality. We have activities and events as well. So again, starting from the beginning, there's an activities and events calendar. And you'll notice that it might be a little bit confusing, but there's actually an events button up here as well. So this events up here is different. This it actually navigates for the entire AMSSA.org website. This little window sort of in here is just for SettlementNet. So this is publicly available events, and the events here, right there in the yellow button, are actually ones that are sort of private and reserved for settlement providers. So you can go back in time and see, what things have been posted. Generally, the events that we do post in here are of wide appeal. If you have an event or a workshop or something along those lines that's coming up, and you'd like to share it with other people, unless it has sort of mass appeal to a number of different service providers, then I do suggest that you actually post it. I'll go through that actually in just one moment, but that wouldn't necessarily be something that you would send to me for posting. That might be something that you'd send to my colleague, Melissa, but I'll go over that in just one moment. So that events calendar, again, there's a number of different videos on here if you want more details. We also have a user guide on the left column if you want more details. I am zooming through this quite quickly. I hope it's not too fast. chat? No, nobody's saying anything in the chat, so that's, I'm assuming I'm going at an okay rate. So in that case, then I'll go actually to, if you want to share AMSSA resources. So let's forget about SettlementNet for a moment. I'll actually log out of SettlementNet. So now we're going back to AMSSA.org. So we are just a member of the public at this point. We don't actually need a password to view this page. So click on Events, and then you can see a number of events that are upcoming. So hiring event, tax clinics, calendar of settlement programs from different organizations. Now, if you are a member of AMSSA, we actually will post your event for free. If you are not a member of AMSSA, I believe there is a small charge, but Melissa will be happy to help you with that information. So you can, the instructions how to post jobs and events are right here. I should mention actually as well that one of the more how to post jobs, if you are posting a job, AMSSA does have a fairly active jobs board. So again, this is open to members of the public. Just go to AMSSA.org, and the top row you'll see jobs. And these are jobs, different employment opportunities and volunteer opportunities that are ongoing. And we post them usually until the closing date. And this is updated very, very regularly. So usually the information on here I think is quite high in quality as well. Okay, so that's most of what I have to say about AMSSA's SettlementNet. Now I'd actually like to spend a little bit of time on some of the other resources that we have available. If you do have questions, please let us know in the chat, or we'll have a little short Q&A at the end of the session as well. So the first thing I'd like to go into are AMSSA's info sheets. So in order to get to these, I apologize, it might be a little bit, some of these link trees might be a little bit complicated, but I'm going through it with you right now just so you know where to find these. So resources, Migration Matters info sheet series. Now, info sheets are two-page documents that summarize some of the research and some of the current dialogue about generally a fairly timely topic. So, for example, issue 17, pre-arrival settlement services. This info sheet we created right around the time of the call for proposals for pre-arrival settlement services. So, pre-arrival settlement services, we go into sort of some of the background. We talk about some definitions. We talk about, generally there's some data in there as well that will give you a little bit more context. And we also, they're heavily cited as well. So if you want to find out more about any particular subject, we try to keep these brief. I appreciate that they are very dense, and I do that. I know more white space might make them more readable, but we figured if they're only 2 pages long, we have to try to get as much information in there as possible. Now, this might be a good resource for new staff potentially if you want to get them up to speed on a particular topic. This might be a good thing just to give an overview, and not just for new staff either. Even people who've been working in the sector for a long time, I think that you might find that there's some information in there, or at least some resources, links to other sources that might be really quite helpful. So for example, the most recent issue is on migrant mental health. So this one, we talk about some of the barriers to accessing mental health services. We talk about some basic definitions of mental health, trauma, PTSD, the extra challenges that some refugees encounter. And then on the second page here, we actually have a list of general resources that you or your staff might find to be helpful just to paste up on your bulletin board or something like that. So here we have some crisis and support lines, some specialized resources, so different programs and clinics and more specific mental health access. And then up here are more general helplines and that sort of thing. These info sheets, all of the topics that are here have been, we don't just pick these topics out of the air. And you'll see this with some of the other events that I'll go through in just a moment, that really information that we share is a response to what we have heard from you, from the settlement sector of British Columbia. You tell us you need something, and then we do our best to try to fill that need. So for example, I think this is a very good example of that. The settlement challenges of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender immigrants and refugees. So I do encourage you to go back. Some of these might be a little bit dated. We started making them about 2 years ago, so they may not necessarily be up to date, but you'll see they all have the dates in the top of them, so you'll see exactly the context to place it in. So there you have it, info sheets. The next one that I'd like to move on to are AMSSA's webinars and webcasts. So starting from the beginning, AMSSA.org, resources. You click on multimedia, and then you click over here on the video resources. You can see a list of all the recorded videos that we've made. So there are 3 kinds here that I'm going to talk about. One is our AMSSA e-Symposium. So e-Symposia are in-person and online events. Basically, we rent out a hall at SFU Harbor Center, and we get a team with video cameras to live stream this event. So we actually have experts come to Vancouver and present on a particular subject. Most recently, in February, we had one of connecting with industry councils. And so generally it's service providing agencies in Vancouver that will actually join us in person, but because they are streamed live online, you're also able to watch them either by yourself or with your colleagues from your own computer. So this website here has a list of all of the different recordings that we have. So here's the e-Symposia of Employment for Immigrants, the webcast, Racism and Bullying, What BC Settlement Workers Need to Know. Now a webcast, think of a webcast like a YouTube video. It's something that we record generally in the AMSSA office and then we share on YouTube. Now a webinar, and this, I apologize for the close terminology, but a webinar is different. Right now you're participating in a webinar. It's live. Generally our webinars, this one's a little bit unique because I'm just talking about our resources, but generally our webinars are with experts in the field. And so most recently we had one in February about building innovative partnerships. So those are interactive. You are able to ask questions, you're able to see the presentations happen live in front of you. And we've been having a number of these, so I do encourage you to check out to see what we've had. Some of them are very timely. So in January, shortly before we were negotiating contribution agreements recently, we had an e-Symposium on negotiating contribution agreements. So keep your eyes peeled. These are always posted in the weekly update, upcoming e-Symposia, webinars, webcasts. So if you keep an eye on the weekly update and the top picks, you'll know about what's happening. Next, I would like to talk about, again, starting from the beginning, talk about some of our specialized resource pages. So what is a specialized resource page? Basically, it's a web page. It's a web page about a specific topic area. Now, you'll remember that I was showing you some message boards before. Now, it's important to remember that those message boards are private. So you have to log into SettlementNet in order to access those message boards. In contrast, these resources here, these are just on the AMSSA.org website, and they're available to everybody. So if you just click on resources for settlement providers, these are the different links that we have to specialized resource pages. You'll notice that 2 of them are not yet complete, so we're working on those, but we've been filling up this list as our year has progressed. These you might find to be quite useful depending on the field that you're in, and I would encourage you to go through those and just see what's on there. Again, AMSSA is a very small staff, so we try to collect everything that we can. We're generally quite knowledgeable about what resources do exist, but if you see that there's something missing, please let us know about it. We do our best to keep on top of requests for information and requests to update particular sites and that sort of thing, and we're usually very responsive, actually, so please just let us know. To that end, actually, I'd like to talk a little bit about sort of our responsiveness and sort of what we can do for you. So oftentimes, you may, if you're writing a proposal or if you need a particular piece of information, I would encourage you to check out SettlementNet first. If you aren't able to find that, I wouldn't suggest writing off AMSSA. I'd suggest actually calling or contacting or emailing us, and because we live this work, we generally have a pretty good of an idea as to where you might find something. So, for example, I often get phone calls or emails about where to find data on immigration in a particular community. So it's a little bit difficult to actually navigate the Stats Canada website, but I've done it many times, so I know where to go to find specific information for your specific community. Just the way that you actually navigate that website, it's impossible to actually link it, unfortunately. So I actually am happy to walk you through that process yourself so you can find the most up-to-date information. That's just one example. I've already gone through the working group message boards, so I won't do that again. The committees that we have are numerous, and those are generally, they focus on a number of different issues. We have the BC Services working groups, so those are generally with some management and frontline staff talking about those 7 specialized topic areas. And then that information that we collect from there also goes up to the Sectoral Program Planning Committee, SPPC, I believe. And that information is then conveyed to government and other stakeholders. And again, mentioned this already, but sector support, so statistics, reports, and other information. We're always happy to help you however we can. I see that I've spoken very quickly, so I may actually be able to get you out to lunch a little bit early. If you have any questions or feedback, please do let me know. Now might be a good time actually in the chat if you do have a burning question, just to let us know. If this webinar is what you expected, please let me know. If it's not what you expected, please let me know. And I will be sending you an evaluation. So please just complete that. Let me know if there's something that you think might make this a little bit more helpful for you, if there's something that I might have missed, just to improve it for next time. So I don't think there's actually very much more that I needed to cover. Let me just look very quickly. One moment, please. No, I believe that's everything. So thank you very much. Once again, my name is Alex Kang, and I'm AMSSA's Research and Information Coordinator. If you have any questions, feedback, there's my contact information. Actually, we're a little bit behind on the slides. The contact information way at the end here. There we go. akang@amssa.org or 718-2784. Once again, this webinar is recorded, so please let me know if you have any other questions. Thank you very much. And, okay, just reading the chat. Yep, no, okay, no questions. Wonderful, okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day and happy International Happiness Day. I hope you all take that to heart and you all enjoy your weekends. Bye-bye.